What's going on, YouTubers? This is your boy Rmit here with another YouTube video. So for those of you who haven't watched my last video on public speaking, I've gotten a lot of great feedback. People have been messaging me all over telling me to make videos on like interview tips, interview questions, and so forth. So today's video is all about 5 interview tips that will change your life and help you land a job of your dreams. So before I jump into these 5 awesome interview tips, let me give you a little bit of background about myself. So I graduated from college about 1.5 years ago with my bachelor's degree, where I majored in finance and minored in corporate communications. I applied to over 200 jobs. This included going on Indeed, going on Monster, applying through college portal websites, and so forth. So when I heard back from 2 to 3 companies, I was like, yay, finally a job interview. Wow, I'm so excited. But let me tell you the reality of it. Most of the time when you get a job interview, you're like, should I go in for this interview? And at that time, you're probably like, yeah, I need the money. But before you go into any interview, there's a few things that you should do. So now that leads us to number 1, which is basically you doing your background research on the company. You have to figure out how the company operates, what position are you exactly going for, and how this company makes its money. If you feel comfortable with how the company operates, how the company makes its money, and the atmosphere that you're exposed to when you go on these interviews, it would help you make your long-term decision. You don't want to just work for a company just for the sake of the money. Yeah, it sounds good, but if you're going to invest your time and your efforts into this place, you want to make sure that you're happy. So now let's jump into tip number 2. Finding out who you're interviewing with. So most of the time when you get an email or a phone call saying, hey, we're calling you in for an interview, what you can do is respond back to that email or ask the person, hey, thank you so much for the consideration and the opportunity, so forth. Just for my personal reference, I just want to figure out who I would be meeting so I know exactly beforehand. Now this shows that you're actually, 1, determined to go into this interview. 2, you're finding out exactly who the person is. And nowadays, with social media being this huge platform, you can go to websites such as LinkedIn and search up the person's name. By doing so, you'll get a little bit of background knowledge of, what the person at this company does, what their skills and efforts are, and exactly what their experience is. And now this will help you walking into the interview because now you have a little bit more background knowledge of the person. Now do yourself a solid. Don't start searching up their name on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and finding out, okay, this person lives over here, he has 2 houses, he has a kid, oh my god. You don't want to be a stalker. Now that's just completely creepy. So now let's jump into tip number 3. Preparing for the interviews. So now what I like to do is before I go to any interview, besides reading the job descriptions, I like to read up on different interview questions that I can be asked in this interview. So now what I do is go to glassdoor.com, figure out exactly, what position you're going for. Look at other questions that analysts or other people who actually went for this interview wrote down. Take like a piece of paper, pen, or just type up all these different questions and prepare your answers accordingly. You want to craft your answers and prepare your hero stories before you go into this interview. Now this allows you to 1, prep for the interview, 2, it gives you more insight. So when you walk into this interview, it's not like a completely brand new thing to you. You have a lot more knowledge of exactly what you expect. So now let's jump into tip number 3, preparing for interview questions. Now this is probably one of the most important interview tips that I can possibly give you. Before jumping into any interview or going to a company, you want to go to like glassdoor.com. What you will do over here is 1, search up the company you're going for, search up the position you're going to actually interview for, and look for different type of people who left feedback on different questions that the company asked you during their interviews. Now this will help you prepare exactly what questions that they expect you to answer. You get to prepare your own hero stories, and you get to craft your answer and season it based on what they want to hear. So now let's move into tip number 4, keeping your answers between 30 seconds to 1 minute. If you walk into an interview and you get asked a question, why do you want to work here? And you go, no, no one wants to hear you babble off on and on and on and on and on and on. No one cares. Instead of impressing the interviewer, you'll probably annoy them and they'll probably daze off and forget what you're even talking about. Instead of impressing it, you're going to end up just being like, okay, this guy just has no idea what he's talking about. He's just babbling off and trying to make a point that doesn't even make sense. Something like I'm doing right now. But you get the point over here. You want to be concise and you want to be precise. So now let's move into the final tip of the day, which is number 5. So when you go in and you're interviewing, one thing that the interviewer really notices is your body language. Body language is key. If you're in the interview, in the room with the interviewer, you're just like, yeah, okay, they get the point. You're nervous. You have to make sure that you look at them in the eye and answer the questions. You want to use hand gestures. You want to be confident. You want to dominate. You want to make sure that they see that you're the right candidate. If you're very nervous and you walk into the interview, they're going to know, okay, if he's having a hard time just interacting with me, how's he going to interact with business clients and other consumers and people? So you want to really stand out. So you have to make sure that your body language is on point. Alright folks, so that was my 5 interview tips that I personally use every time I go into an interview. I really hope this helps you, and I really hope that you actually apply this. If you feel nervous and you have a hard time doing interviews, you have to practice. Practice makes perfect. And if you like today's video, please like, share, and subscribe to my YouTube channel. I urge you guys to leave comments in the comment box below and let me know how I'm doing. If you have questions that you need help on, or if you're struggling with something, please do drop it. I would love to make a video based on something that would really benefit you in the long run. And also, please stay tuned for more videos and subscribe, and thank you as always for watching my videos.